Edgar Evans was born on the 7th of March 1876 in Middleton, Rosslyn, Gower. The eldest of 4 children, his family later moved from Gower to Hoskins Place off Lower Oxford Street and then moved to William Street, Swansea. He attended St Helens Boys' School in the Sandfields area of Swansea. After leaving school, he worked at the Castle Hotel on St Mary Street and at Swansea's head post office before running away to join the Royal Navy at the age of 15. He became a member of the Polar Party in Robert Falcon Scott's ill-fated Terra Nova expedition to the South Pole in 1911 to 1912. A group of 5 men personally selected for the final expedition push reached the pole on the 17th of January 1912. Unfortunately, they perished as they attempted to return to the base camp. While in the Royal Navy, he became a physical instructor at HMS Excellent in Portsmouth and later a naval gunner. In 1899, he began service on HMS Majestic, where Robert Falcon Scott was serving as a torpedo lieutenant. Edgar Evans joined Scott's first Antarctic expedition in Discovery in 1901 to 1904 along with William Lashley. He accompanied Scott on his furthest west sledge journey to the interior of Victoria Land in 1903. Apparently, Evans was nearly left behind in New Zealand when he drunkenly fell into the water while boarding the ship. However, he was held in high regard by Scott for his so-called resourcefulness, his strength, anecdotes, and Scott wanted him to be part of the expedition. Scott described Evans as a giant worker. He is responsible for every sledge fitting, tents, sleeping bags, harness, and when one cannot recall a single expression of dissatisfaction with any one of these items, it shows what an invaluable assistant he has been. 11 weeks after setting off from base camp, the Polar Party reached the South Pole on the 17th of January 1912, only to discover that Roald Amundsen's 5-man party had beaten them to the pole by 5 weeks. Their return journey soon became a desperate affair. Evans had his hand cut in an accident as they were nearing the pole, and the wound did not heal properly. During the return journey, he began to deteriorate mentally as well as physically, suffering from frostbite on his fingers, nose, and cheeks. As they descended into the Beardmore Glacier, he is thought to have suffered a head injury in a fall into a crevice. This was on the 4th of February, and Evans sustained a serious concussion which caused his condition to rapidly worsen. During the whole descent, his condition caused a delay to the party, and the surplus food gradually diminished. On the 16th of February 1912, nearing the base of the glacier, Evans collapsed. The next morning, he was unable to keep up, so he was left behind while the others went ahead, man-hauling the sledge towards the next supply depot. They had to make a return journey to fetch him. Scott's diary described Evans's condition when they found him. To quote, "He was on his knees, clothing disarranged, hands uncovered and frostbitten, and with a wild look in his eyes." They placed him onto a sledge, and he was taken to the next camp they had set up. By the time he was placed in the tent, he was comatose. He died in the tent that night. It was not recorded what was done with his body, and none of the other members of the Polar Party survived the return journey. His widow, Lois, and her 3 children had a plaque placed in his memory in the Norman Church at Rosslyn. The memorial reads, "To the glory and in memory of Edgar Evans, First Class Petty Officer, Royal Navy, and a native of this parish, who perished on the 17th of February 1912 when returning from the South Pole with the southern party of the British Antarctic expedition under the command of Captain Robert Falcon Scott, CVO, Royal Navy, to seek, to strive, to find, and not to yield. Edgar Evans is also remembered at the Naval Shore Establishment on Whale Island, Portsmouth, where the Edgar Evans Building was opened in 1964, the first to be named after a petty officer rather than an admiral. The building was demolished in 2010, but a new accommodation block was named after Edgar Evans. The new building contains a memorial to him that incorporates 2 skis that he used in Antarctica. An award named the Edgar Evans Award is also given each year to the highest placed student of all petty officer missile courses for that year. There is also a commemorative plaque on the Scott Lighthouse Memorial in Roath Park Lake in Cardiff, which lists all of the crew members, including Edgar Evans. Evans Neve, Victoria Island, is named in honour of Edgar Evans. The following poem was written by Derek Davis in tribute to Evans. Edgar Evans, a legend in time, born in Ricili, a man in his prime. Strong and determined, Scott wanted the best. Against all the odds, against that cold polar test. Bitter winds blowing, that chill cutting deep, they set out on that journey, one so tragic, so bleak, that endeavoured to succeed, to satisfy the soul. A story of passion, the first to the pole. Day after day, through blizzards and gales, on they did push, with Evans from Wales, until that day finally came when they reached the South Pole, with the flag to be ready, that triumph, that goal. But triumph turned to sadness, things were not as they'd believed. Beaten to the prize, losing all they'd achieved. Dejected, deflated, they set off once more, through that harsh, unforgiving landscape, as they did once before. Tired and beaten, Edgar try as he might. Slowly but surely, he gave up the fight. The first one to perish, the first to succumb. Through cold, then through injury, that made your whole body numb. Now their story lives on forever. We shall remember those tales of Scott of the Antarctic, Edgar Evans from Wales.